knockout punch, indeed. Welcome aboard. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you Wednesday, November 6th, 2013. Welcome aboard to Fire Your MD Now, where we pull back the curtain on all things having to do with conventional medicine. Chemo brain, heard about it? Coming to a neighbor near you shortly. This from Medscape. Once dismissed by clinicians, cognitive impairment related to cancer therapy, commonly called chemo brain, has become an issue of growing concern for cancer survivors and researchers alike. They go on to say that cognitive dysfunction from chemotherapy is a recognized entity that can occur in cancer patients treated with chemotherapy or radiotherapy. Medscape Oncology spoke with Jeffrey S. Weffel, Ph.D., Section Chief of Neuropsychology at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas, for an overview of what the evidence shows about the condition popularly known as chemo brain. Dr. Weffel says, I quote, "The word chemo brain was actually coined by patients who reported cognitive difficulties after undergoing chemotherapy. That means they couldn't think correctly. Their brains weren't working the way that they were before chemotherapy. However, some cognitive changes experienced by cancer patients may not be caused by chemotherapy and may be due to other cancer therapies, such as hormonal therapies. Chemo brain, or treatment-related cognitive dysfunction, fancy schmancy doctor talk for my brain doesn't work, limits cancer patients' professional, social, and family lives and leads to increased financial burden, mood disturbance, and reduced quality of life. As our population ages, cancer diagnoses will increase, and so will neurodegenerative disorders that affect cognitive function. At the same time, advances in cancer treatments are producing a growing number of cancer survivors, for 5 years. Taken together, these factors suggest that cognitive dysfunction will become increasingly common, and neuropsychological services will be required for many cancer patients," end quote. Now, this last sentence is the one that kills me. Remember, MDs practicing oncology, MDs in general, and especially those practicing oncology, are like colorblind art critics who do not know that they're colorblind. They are completely enrolled in their own mythology. They are completely enrolled in their own methodology, and to them, there are no other treatments outside of what they've been taught. To them, everything but chemo, radiation, and surgery for cancer is a fool's errand. It's quack medicine, substandard, dangerous treatments that we really should give no money, no thought to whatsoever. Even though their therapeutics for cancer don't work, even though their therapeutics for cancer are no closer to curing cancer than they were 40 years ago, even though they've spent $600 billion on cancer research, nearly $1 trillion, which is 1,000 million. No, it's not. It's 1,000 million. It's a million. $1 trillion is $1 million. They've spent nearly $1 million on cancer research, and we're not any closer to coming up with a cure for cancer than we were before. And if you're a breast cancer survivor, God bless you, but quite frankly, hacking off the breast is hardly an advanced treatment for cancer. We could have an epidemic of hand psoriasis or knee psoriasis or, really bad arthritis in the feet, epidemic, hundreds of millions of people affected, and one solution would be to cut the feet off, or cut the hands off, or cut the knees off. That's a solution. No more foot, no more arthritis of the foot, no more knee, no more arthritis of the knee, no more hand psoriasis. And so it goes with cancer treatment. No more breast, no more breast cancer. It's an out-fashioned, old-dated, archaic, medieval treatment that we have become culturally conditioned to accept as the best that medicine can offer. But I digress. So what happens here is they're finally noticing. They were in denial about this problem for years. patients were reporting that they couldn't think properly, but the doctor was dismissing it as, fantasy by the patient. Just a momentary phenomenon because of the stress of the therapy. But no, it persists. And again, the medical doctor is not your oncologist is not interested in how his therapies affect your body. Your oncologist is interested in not killing you while they're delivering the treatment. That's what their training teaches them how to do, to give you just so much chemo that it doesn't kill you. Now, if they've done that, they've done their job, and then they wash their hands and walk away, and whatever else happens to you is none of their concern. Their job was to convince you to take the chemotherapy or the radiation or the surgery, deliver the treatment in a manner which did not kill you during the treatment, and then walk away. That is their only job. Don't believe me? Tune into yesterday's show. We had a woman, a nurse, an oncology nurse, who was diagnosed years ago with stage 4 lymphoma, given 3 years to live. She consulted an herbalist and eliminated the lymphoma 100%. 100% gone. Went back to work, and the oncologist, whom she had been working side by side with for a number of years, she was the top nurse at the facility, did not want to know what she did to eliminate the lymphoma, which was supposed to kill her in 3 months. Didn't want anything to do. No. Oh, no. Don't want to know it. I don't want to know that. Because it is not your oncologist's job to cure your cancer. Your oncologist's job is to convince you to get on board with their therapeutics and then to deliver their therapeutics in a for-profit manner. We also heard a testimony yesterday that from an oncology nurse that the oncologist that she was working under were delivering a chemotherapy that was old-fashioned and out of date and ineffective, or less effective than the new chemotherapy, solely to make more money, because the old chemotherapy was more profitable. They made more money delivering it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not outraged, you're simply not paying attention. But again, I digress. Let me read this paragraph again from Medscape. Neurodegenerative disorders that affect cognitive dysfunction are of growing concern. Taken together, these factors suggest that cognitive dysfunction will become increasingly common, and neuropsychological services will be required for many cancer patients. So rather than see that their therapeutics not only don't work, but they cause pain and suffering and harm into the bargain, that they completely mess up their patients' brains, they completely mess up the way that their patients think and feel and move through the world. So, number one, they don't cure the cancer. They just suppress the cancer symptoms, and it's only a matter of time until the tumor comes back and then you die from it. Not only does that happen, but the therapeutics increase the pain and suffering of the patient's life. And rather than look to see this as a warning sign that their therapeutics are ridiculous, the MD says, well, what we're going to have to do now is have more psychological services available for the patients who we screw their brains up. This is how they think, and this is why everybody needs to fire the MD. Because remember, they're like colorblind art critics who don't know that they're colorblind. They have no idea whatsoever that their therapeutics are just one set of therapeutics. They think that it's the only thing that anybody in the world can do for cancer, because they're the MD and they're the God and they know what's best for everybody. And it is their arrogance and hubris before the fact which is the most alarming thing about them. And when you marry that with a for-profit, out-of-control, monopolistic medical system, you have a perfect recipe for disaster. But because the media is owned by, 5 corporations rule the world, right? And they're all in bed together, the pharmaceutical companies, the media, ABC News, CBS News, CNBC, Fox News, Time Magazine, you name it. They're all in bed together. You're never going to hear mainstream news shout what we're shouting every day. You're never going to hear it. It's going to be tangential. You never hear that last year the medical profession profited $780 million. You never hear that. What you hear is, oh, the cost of health care costs American consumers $780 bazillion. $800 bazillion, $900 bazillion. It was a terrible, crushing blow to the economy. That's how it's pitched to you. It's never pitched to you, oh, you know, those medical doctors and those cancer doctors and those hospitals and insurance companies had a banner year last year. It's good to be a medical doctor. It's good to be an oncologist. You want to make some money, boys and girls? Become an oncologist. You never hear it pitched to you like that. Because they're all in bed together. You're not going to get the straight skinny from them. You're going to get the straight skinny from us. Listen, you're welcome to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts. The problem with MD-directed medical treatment is that the MDs are arrogant, one-trick ponies. They believe that their way is the only way, and their arrogance before the fact is the most dangerous aspect of their profession. And because they monopolize the medical theater, they can get away with being arrogant. They can get away with delivering a therapy that completely destroys your brain. Number one, it doesn't fix the problem. Number two, it destroys the brain into the process. And number three, we're still more than happy to give them our hard-earned pay every month in the form of medical insurance premiums that gives us access to genuflect at their altar whenever we need to, and willingly become a participant to their substandard, old-fashioned, dangerous, ineffective, and side-effect-riddled therapeutics. Ladies and gentlemen, when will the madness end? Hopefully, it's going to end today. It's ended a long time ago for Longevity members. It's ended a long time ago for Team Glidden members. We're going to talk to Claudia in St. Louis about kidney dysfunction when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, only you can prevent allopathic reductionism. Fire your medical doctor today. 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933, or if you're listening to the podcast, 855-347-3696. Oh, by the way, Charlie Trotter died a couple days ago. If you live in Chicagoland, you know who Charlie Trotter was. He revolutionized the way that restaurants worked, really brought to the forefront of the culinary world in North America, the whole notion of haute cuisine. Charlie Trotter was a legend in the culinary scene in the United States, right up there with Wolfgang Puck. Died at 54 years of age. I'm 54 years of age. Suspected cause of death, stroke, but an autopsy is being performed today. 54 years of age, a wealthy individual, dies. And this man is all about food. Now, what does that tell you? You think he had a bad gene? No. He had a bad doctor, because his doctor did not know anything about medical nutrition. Charlie Trotter's doctor, being an MD, only knows what he or she was trained in, and they're only trained in how to manage your symptoms with drugs. They don't know anything whatsoever about how to help you, me, or the man in the moon maintain or gain their health and or optimize the function of the human body. The MD is only trained in pharmaceutical cleanup. That's their job, to clean up your symptoms, to manage your symptoms with drugs or surgery, not to fix, cure, or heal a gosh darn thing, unless, of course, it's a nasty infection or some type of trauma to the body, and then they don't heal it. They just put the pieces back together and the body heals it. Charlie Trotter, Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, Steve Jobs. The list goes on and on. Celebrities, multi-million billionaires dying before they get to the, at the hands of the MDs. In the, not in the, and they're not even in the golden years of their life. We have the genetic potential to make it to 120. But in the U.S., we're lucky if we make it into our mid-70s, and this is considered the best that medicine has to offer? No, this is the best that pharmaceutical medicine has to offer, the best that MD-directed medicine has to offer. Yeah, that's what you get if you go to the MD. You're going to die, after you hit 50. Just keep your fingers crossed, because every day could be your last. But this is what we get when we've monopolized, when we've allowed an industry such as healthcare, medical care, it's not healthcare, it's medical care, to be monopolized by a small segment of the medical community, and we're dying needlessly because of it. How many more celebrities are going to have to go before we pull our heads out of our rear ends and take a stand? Well, you don't have to march on City Hall. You don't have to picket in front of your local MD's clinic. You don't have to create a stir at the local oncology clinic, although I would love it if you did. Legally, right? A legal stir, civil disobedience legally with the correct permits, the ability to assemble peacefully. I'd love it if you did that. But you don't have to do that. If you want to have a quiet protest, join Youngevity. Become a Youngevity distributor. Talk to 10 people a week about our message. Talk to 10 people a week about science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. No, you don't even have to know how to spell vitamin to be able to do this. All you need to do is memorize this phrase. I know a doctor that says you don't have to suffer with that. If I invite you to this webinar, will you show up? If I lend you this DVD, will you watch it? That's all that you have to be able to do. And then take down a name and a phone number or an email address and do the appropriate follow-up. 10 conversations like that a week will change the world. The world is always changed by a small handful of motivated individuals. Youngevity Nation is motivated. Youngevity Nation exists to end human suffering. Youngevity Nation exists to show people who are sick and suffering the alternative of science-based, clinically verified, holistic medical nutrition. Join us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make a difference. Let's create a small revolution that grows into a medium-sized revolution, that grows into a large revolution, that changes the world. And then you can say, you know what? I was there then. FireYourMDNow.com. Click on the Youngevity button. Join the cause. Dr. Peter Glidden here, 866-582-9933. Give me a shout. Let's talk about it. Let's go to St. Louis and see what's going on with Claudia. Hey, Claudia, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden.
I
met a lady last week who's on kidney dialysis 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And her kidney function is 22.
Yeah.
So what could she take?
Well, is she interested?
She said she was, but she doesn't have the money right now, she said.
Yeah, so, well, there's nothing you can do for that, right? I mean, this is the problem. When you're up against it like this.
What if I meet somebody else like that? What would they take?
Well, have them call me, right?
Okay.
So, right now, but I'll tell you what to do. But and I'm not shining you on here, but we need to be effective in what we're doing. And
right, I understand.
You get that, right? So it's really good that you're reaching out. I mean, who else is doing this? The medical doctors should be doing it, but they're not. The nurse should be doing it, but they're not. They don't know any better. Now, Doctor, one of the things I love about Dr. Wallach is the extremely pragmatic point of view that he brings to bear on his understanding of pathology. And, Wallach did 26,000 autopsies. I mean, it was just a crazy amount of autopsies. It's just a crazy amount. And when you do that much boots on the ground, old-fashioned pragmatic research, you start to see patterns. And what Dr. Wallach saw and reports about kidney function is that the vast majority of the time when the kidney is in trouble, the kidney itself is fine. The actual workings of the kidney are fine. The problem is that the blood vessels in the kidney are all gummed up and jammed up. The blood vessels are all gummed up and jammed up.
Okay.
How did that happen? Blood vessels in the kidney got all gummed up and jammed up because of fried food and oil in a bottle, and fried food and oil in a bottle, and fried food and oil in a bottle, plus wheat, barley, rye, and oats, meat that has nitrates in it. Consistent consumption of the 10 bad foods causes inflammation, and a little bit of inflammation every day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, 5 times a day, adds up, and the inflammation's going to affect, in some people, the blood vessels in the kidney, and some people, the blood vessels in the heart, and some people, the right knee, and some people, the left shoulder. You never know where it's going to show up.
Okay.
But it's inflammation that causes the blood vessels to get all funkified. And when the blood vessels in the kidney get all funkified, then it's game, set, match. So what I would do, Claudia, is I would let this woman's life be a warning shot over your bow. Because, and what I would have it do is it would make me clean my diet up 100%. Because she didn't get sick because she had a bad gene. She didn't get sick because she had a voodoo curse. And she didn't get sick because she had a kidney. She got sick because she didn't know any better, because she was doing the wrong things all of the time. You know, my people are destroyed by lack of knowledge. So I would let this be a motivator for me. And I would encourage you wholeheartedly to, eliminate the 10 bad foods, man.
Okay.
And get on board with the program here. And
so one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
About multiple sclerosis, the MS.
Yeah. I did a really good webinar that talks all about multiple sclerosis. If you're a Dr. Glidden Insider, for $20 a month on my website, you can watch a whole presentation that I did about it. But the long story short, Dr. Wallach's understanding and my understanding of multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, and Parkinson's disease, honestly, is that they're all different arms of the same octopus, that this is all oxidative damage to different parts of the central nervous system. So again, what causes oxidative damage? Oil in a bottle and fried food, oil in a bottle and fried food, and eating all of the 10 bad foods all of the time. So what we recommend for people who have a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, number 1, clean up your diet. Number 2, eat food that's high in cholesterol, because the part of your brain that's affected by the MS is made from cholesterol. If you had a broken bone, we'd encourage you to eat a diet that's high in minerals and take a lot of mineral supplements, because your bones are made out of minerals.
Okay.
Well, if we're dealing with a brain problem, the recommendation is eat a diet that's high in cholesterol, because that's what your brain's made from. So 12 eggs a day is what Dr. Wallach recommends, with butter and salt. Now, in addition to that, as far as the nutritional supplements go, the recommendation would be 1 anti-aging healthy start pack, 2 bottles of selenium. That's 1 anti-aging healthy start, 2 bottles of selenium, and 1 bottle of ultimate, 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals. I'm sorry, 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals per 100 pounds of body weight per month.
Okay.
Plus a diet that's high in cholesterol. Yeah, Claudia, look, you're welcome. Keep up the good work, and remember, we're going to fix the world one person at a time. From St. Louis to Iowa, talk to Joe about a crushed backbone. Ouch. Hey, Joe, thanks for calling. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Glidden, thanks for taking my call.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, actually, you know what? First of all, I think I owe you 25 cents.
All right, I'll take it. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, last time we were on, you bet me 25 cents that the protocol you gave me would work, and I believe I owe you 25 cents.
All right. That's awesome, man. I'll take it. If everybody that owed me 25 cents paid up, it'd be a very Merry Christmas. So what did you have, and what did you take, and what happened?
Well, I had called about 6 months ago, and I had tore my pectoral while I was working out.
Ouch.
And, yeah, basically you told me to eat glucogels like candy, and that's kind of what I did. I got on, I was, at the time I was just taking the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I got on the whole Healthy Start Pack with the extra glucogels and, threw in the selenium and stuff too. And yeah, it's a miracle, basically, in my opinion.
Well, yours is a good opinion, because, It's a 100% hands-on, pragmatic, results-oriented opinion. You know, we're not making theoretical observations. You're just seeing what happened to your own body after you did medical nutrition. I mean, that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. So into the bargain, Joe, you know, when the torn muscles and ligaments fixed themselves, did you notice, did anything else improve, like energy, mood, sleep, sex drive? I mean, anything at all get better?
Yeah, I mean, my energy's been pretty good ever since I started taking the BTT to begin with. I think when I started on the osteo and the glucogels, I really noticed, like, I do a lot of bending down in my job, like I'm an electrician, so I put in, you know, plugs and switches and stuff, and, you know, my knees would always kind of give me some troubles, and since I started on the osteo and the glucogels, I don't notice any pain anymore. I mean, it wasn't really severe pain, but it was enough that, you know, I noticed it, you know, and I don't feel anything anymore.
God, you got to love it. I mean, isn't this just the greatest stuff in the world? I mean, it really is.
It made me a believer. I was a customer, and then it made me sign up as a distributor because you know. So it made me believe that for sure.
All right. So, look, I have a little bit of advice for you, and then I'm going to answer your question. You know, there's a way to, as a longevity distributor, to show people what we're up to in a manner that makes them run away from you. And there's a way to show it to people in a manner that makes them run towards you. It's not really any different than, you know, you're an electrician, you have to learn the trade. You have to be an apprentice, and you have to learn how to do things. Otherwise, you're going to electrocute yourself and burn the house down. There's a little bit of a learning curve there. Quite frankly, there's a relatively steep learning curve to become a good electrician. Well, it's the same with longevity, because when it, you know, when you boil it all down to the bitter end, it's just a business. It's a business, and there's things you can do to make the business succeed, and there's things you can do to make it fail, just like anything else. So my recommendation to you would be call up Longevity, tell them your customer number, and say, look, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat today. I was in the swamp yesterday. A little frog jumped in my throat. Say to Longevity, look, I want to learn how to do this business. I'd like to know who in my upline is a strong and successful business builder. And I'd like their name and their phone number, and then call them up. And that's how we do it in Longevity Nation. You have to lean on your upline for training. And I'm telling you the truth, man, there is somebody in your Longevity network above you that has been looking for you for 10 years. And that will bend over backwards to teach you how to show this to people in a manner that doesn't drive them away, but instead attracts them to you. And just a little bit of training here, Joe, just a little bit of help goes a long, long, long way and will eliminate hours and hours of frustration on your behalf, because it's just no fun, man, showing this to people and having them turn their nose up at it or chase them away, and then, you know, they don't even want to talk to you anymore. That's no fun. But and that'll happen if you don't do it correctly.
Well, and I think I got a pretty great one. Ashley is mine, so is my upline. So
you're leaning on Ashley. Well,
yeah.
then, all right, then we're good. She's the greatest. I mean, thank God for Ashley
great.
James. She's really, really great. All right, man. I appreciate you. How can I help?
I got a friend. He's a sound guy, and he was moving some equipment, and he was in the vehicle, and someone tried to steal the vehicle while he was back there, and he ended up going for a little ride and falling out of the vehicle. Wow. He crushed a vertebrae and broke his spine.
Wow. That's like a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when I heard the story.
All right. Well, so he broke his back and crushed his spine. So he needs bone, joint, and ligament support, right? Appropriate for his body weight, and actually extra because it's a traumatic event. What's he weigh? Do you know? You have an idea?
My guess would be around 220, 230, around there.
All right. So, and the recommendation would be for 4 weeks as a big intervention, right? It would be 2 healthy bone and joint packs. 2 healthy bone and joint packs. 2 bottles of Beyond Osteo FX. 4 bottles of selenium. 2 healthy bone and joint packs, 2 bottles of Beyond OsteoFX, and 4 bottles of selenium. That's a lot of calcium. That's going to be 4 bottles of liquid calcium a month. The recommendation for him would be to take 2 ounces of the liquid calcium twice a day. 2 ounces of the liquid calcium twice a day in a little bit of orange juice each time, and you can figure out how to dose all the other stuff. You just divide it up appropriately. The secret sauce here for him would be extra calcium for about 4 weeks. Then after 4 weeks, he can back it off to just the 2 healthy bone and joint packs and 4 bottles of selenium. 2 healthy bone and joint packs and 4 bottles of selenium should be sufficient to the cause here to bring him into the light of health again. And this program, guaranteed, I bet you another 25 cents, will cut his recovery time in half by what the emergency room docs or the attending orthopedic surgeons have told him that he's going to do. But remember, it's all common sense, right? In order to up the ante with his system's ability to absorb this stuff, in addition to taking it, he must eliminate the 10 bad foods. Must eliminate the 10 bad foods. So sell that to him. Bring him into the light of medical nutrition. Keep up the good work, Joe and I. We're very proud of what's going on down there. Stick around, folks. Coming back. Do not go into the swamp with an open mouth. A frog will jump right in it. Do not gulp your Beyond Tangy at the beginning of a radio segment, especially if you're the host. 866-582-9933. Let's go to South Carolina and finish up the first hour with Dennis. Hey, Dennis, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hello, Dr. Glidden.
What's happening, Dennis?
Hi. I was calling because of a gentleman, it's a friend of mine. He was talking to me today. He's suffering from something called Meniere's disease.
Oh, yeah.
And his doctor sent him down to the University of Charleston to a specialist, and I guess the guy told him that he can't have any salt because the salt was causing him to lose his hearing.
Well, the doctor's an idiot. No, the doctor's an idiot. The doctor should have his license revoked. I mean, that's like telling somebody the reason he's losing his hearing is because he has an alien implant in his body or he's infected with an evil spirit and we have to do an exorcism to cure him.
Well, I'm hoping I heard him right when he said that. I don't want to. That was my understanding from what he was saying. So he's 69 years old and 161 pounds.
Yep.
And that's about all I know about that disease.
Well, all right, very, very good. I appreciate you. So let's walk us through it, right? Let me slow walk you through it. The Meniere's disease is a disease of the inner ear. You've got your ear canal, and then you've got your eardrum, and then behind the eardrum, you have your ear canal. The middle ear canal, and then behind that there's another eardrum. Behind your eardrum, behind the little room in there, there's another eardrum that goes into the inner ear, and the inner ear is where the apparatus that helps the body maintain balance is located. Maintains balance, and that's actually where all of the hearing also happens in the body. When the nerves going to that part of your ear, to the inner sanctum of the ear, when the nerves coming off of the brain going to the inner chamber of the ear get messed up, you get Meniere's disease. Well, what messes up those nerves? Is it a voodoo curse? Nope. Is it aging? Nope. Is it salt? Nope. Is it a bad gene? Nope. It's a bad doctor who doesn't know anything about pathophysiology and doesn't care to know anything about pathophysiology. In order for that little nerve that comes off of your brain, directly off of the brain that goes into that little room inside your ear, the inner sanctum of the ear, the inner chamber of the ear, it has to go through a tunnel in the skull. And when your skull bone is nice and healthy, that tunnel is nice and strong. The walls of the tunnel are nice and strong, and all you have is a tunnel and the nerve going through it, just like a wire through a tube. But when the skull bone starts to lose its structural integrity, when the walls of that tunnel that the nerve goes through start to collapse, the body puts connective tissue in there to keep the tunnel wall from collapsing. Because remember, the body is smart. The body knows that if the tunnel collapses, you're going to go deaf, dumb, or blind, or worse. So the body will do whatever it can to keep that from happening, and so it puts connective tissue in there to shore up the walls. Ostensibly, this is what we believe happens. Now, when there's connective tissue in there, it will rub up against the nerve, and when it rubs up against this particular nerve, you get Meniere's disease. It's got nothing to do with salt except perhaps a lack of, because if you don't have enough salt in your diet, your digestive acid is going to be weak. If your digestive acid is weak, your body is not going to be able to digest nutrients out of the food to keep the walls of that chamber nice and intact, the walls of that tunnel nice and strong. So this is a nutrient deficiency disease due to a breakdown in the structural integrity of the skull. It's osteoporosis of the skull, believe it or not. So what do we do when faced with this? Well, the recommendation is support and promote the structure and function of the skull and of that little canal in the skull. How we do that with the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, appropriate for body weight. It's 1 Healthy Bone and Joint Pack and 2 bottles of selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. You can give 1 extra bottle of liquid calcium a month. And the CM cream that's part of the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, put an abundance of that on the end of a Q-tip and swab the ear canals on both ears with the CM cream 3 or 4 times a day. See if that doesn't offer immediate relief for the Meniere's while we're giving the body nutrition to support and promote its structure and function over time. Check it out, Dennis. He's going to love how he feels. Hour 2 coming up in just a minute, folks. Don't even think about touching that dial. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now.